Hello and welcome to ShowMeAcademy.com. In this tutorial, we will show you how to navigate forward and backward through pages in Microsoft Internet Explorer 7. Sitting here in the browser, looking at the options before us, most of us are familiar with going back and forward to get to the next page or the previous page in our browsing history. There are some other options, though, that can save you a little time or quickly get you from one place to another faster in ways that you might have done otherwise. First of all, we'll step through the basic options that most people are accustomed to. I'm here at my home page right now in my internet browser, and up in the upper left-hand corner, you have these two arrows, a left arrow and a right arrow. The left arrow is your back arrow, and that indicates that you're going to go to the previous page that you have in memory, and the right arrow is the forward arrow, which goes to the next page that you had previously gone to. Now, of course, if you are as far along in your browsing history as you can go, there will be no active arrow here. This will be grayed out. Of course, I'll point out real fast that when you mouse over this button, you'll see that it doesn't just give you the back option. It also shows you in this little tooltip exactly what page it was that was the last one that you visited. So if you had any doubts, you could just scroll over there and see quickly where you wanted to go. And of course, when I click on this link now, it takes me to the previous page in my browsing history, which was CNN.com. When I do that, the forward link becomes active because now in the history I've stepped back a step, so now I have the ability to go forward a step as well, which takes me back to Google. And it's very easy to sit here and hit the back button multiple times if necessary and go back through multiple pages that you may have viewed on the web. That is the way to navigate through pages that most of us, I think, that we are most familiar with by default. However, you have some other options available to you as well. So I'm going to go ahead and forward back through to Google. And from here now, instead of clicking this button up here, from anywhere in this page that's part of the blank area, I'm just going to right click. And when I right click, I have a context menu that pops up, and you'll see that the first two options that pop up are back and forward. Now, forward is grayed out, just as the forward button up here is grayed out, because there's no more next step in my browsing history. But unless you just opened your browser, there's always going to be a previous step in your browsing history, which is why this button, the back button, is almost always active up here. And when I right click on the page, this back option is open as well. And these two options will do the exact same things as the two buttons that are up here. Back takes me to the previous item or page in memory, and if I right click again, now I can click forward, and this will take me to the last item in memory. Now that may not look like that big of a deal, but it can be very significant, because if you're always in the habit of going up to the left and then back to the page, and up to the left and back to the page, over the course of hours and days, that actually wastes a lot of time. And once you get used to using this right click method, you can actually zoom through pages backward and forward a lot faster than you might otherwise have been accustomed to. Now, aside from using the right click context menu here to go backward and forward through pages, you also have another quick tool that you can use to see a quick menu of the places that you've been to recently, and that's going to be the Recent Pages button. There's nothing on the screen that says Recent Pages per se, but this little arrow here, you'll see when I mouse over it, it says Recent Pages. This gives me a menu of the places that I've been. Basically, it shows me where I will be navigating to if I use the back or forward buttons. So when I click on this, you'll see now that my current page has a check mark next to it. It's also highlighted by default. And you can see if I were to go forward, I would go first to CNN.com, and then if I went forward again, I would go to Google. And conversely, if I were to go back again, I would go to this CNET page, then to this one, etc., 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 etc. Now, of course, if you're trying to get 5 pages back, 6 pages back in memory, then rather than continually clicking the back button here, or continually going through the back option here, you could instead just pull down this menu and go directly back to, let's say, ESPN. Now I'll also note to you that even though there are a limited number of options that show up here, you'll notice once I went to ESPN, it pulled up more options because these were places that I went to even further back. So sometimes you can use this menu to go back 10 pages and then go back to that menu again to go back 10 more pages, etc., etc., even if you end up going back 30, 40, 50 pages in memory from when you first started your browser session. So hopefully now you see that there are a number of different options that you can deploy to get you backward and forward through pages a little faster and a little more efficiently than you might otherwise have done, always going up to the upper left for the back and forward buttons. This concludes this tutorial, and thank you for using ShowMeAcademy.com.